7% after the regional bank announced it's buying Comerica for $10.9 billion in an all-stock deal that will create the ninth largest U.S. bank. The combined company will have operations in the Southeast, Texas, and California, and solidify Fifth Third's position in the Midwest. Comerica shares jumped 10.9% pre-market. I'm Rich Thomason.
Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. The technology of mobile contactless payments is replacing the use of cold hard cash in the UK.
UK Finance, the trade body for banks and other financial services, found that cash was used in just 9% of transactions in 2024, down from 48% a decade ago. Regulators were given new powers last year to make sure people could deposit and withdraw cash, but the government says it has no plans to tell businesses they have to take it. Cash Access UK, which provides community cash and basic banking services, says that's disappointing and that more than 3 million people still rely on cash, a group that are disproportionately more vulnerable.
That's BBC's Luke Wilson. A stretch of waterfront trail on the Florida Gulf Coast, community of Clearwater, being renamed to honor wrestling giant Hulk Hogan. He died back in July after suffering a heart attack. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
He was born in St. Joseph, Missouri. When he was 9, his family moved to Houston and he found his love, journalism. He worked for school newspapers in middle school, high school. After graduating, he studied politics at the University of Texas. Later, he became the news editor for the United Press. In World War II, a war correspondent. And later, he anchored the CBS Evening News from 1962 to 1981, often called the most trusted man in America, Walter Cronkite. Unbiased, factual coverage. But in his personal life, he was more liberal. He just never let those views sneak into his anchor duties. I know when younger, I wanted to be just like Walter Cronkite. I wanted a reputation of being factual, not letting any personal bias sway my news reports. Nowadays, as a radio host of my own program, I'm not really bound by those rules. I can voice opinions, which I do. But it's still in my DNA to be accurate and give both sides. And that's the way it is.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad, always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me me off forever, but I ask you please, don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences, gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
What is going on, baby? Oh, everything looks weirder on the computer now. It's black. It's black and white. Is this some kind of new thing? It's always something new. Always something new. I can't figure out something. Maybe somebody could tell me, and nobody ever is able to answer this question. By the way, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 3 Martini Lunch. Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report. Jamie Allman here, Ashlyn over there, and maybe some. And every time I bring this up, well, first of all, I'm surprised more people don't complain about it. Then I'm thinking, well, maybe it's something with me, or maybe people don't want to complain about it because it seems insignificant given all of the earthly challenges that so many people have, you know. So I spent a lot of time at my pool. My pool is still open, by the way, and it's been great out there. I feel like I've always kept it open like through Halloween, but this time, man, I don't even know when fall's going to come. I know in St. Louis what happens is it rains one weekend and then suddenly it's fall. So that's usually how it works. Sometimes it's later in October, whatever. But the changeover from summer, there is no autumn, really. There is no autumn, really, in St. Louis. So there's a changeover from summer, and it goes right into fall, just with one fell swoop. So anyway, I still hang out. I really enjoy it out there. I will tell you that I did, because a couple of the flowers from the summer are no longer thriving. So I did buy some mums, that look fallish. So anyway, I'm out there. I'm on my phone, and I'll be darned if the phone doesn't darken when you're in the sun. Don't look at me like that. Ashlyn, do you have an iPhone? Okay. You know it does, right?
Yeah.
Well, then how come you looked at me like that?
I was just thinking.
Because that's the way everybody looks at me. Like, they know it does. They know it darkens, but they act like it doesn't. I'm like, because Ashlyn had this look on her face like, oh, you're nuts. I have never had that happen to me in my life. But it darkens. And I'm thinking to myself, well, who invented this? Because at that point, then you can't see. And so I don't understand that, because why would you do that? And then every time I bring it up to somebody, they're like, no, all you have to do is go blah, 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 your settings and go. It's like, no, that doesn't happen that way. I've tried it a million different times, and nobody has adequately addressed it or anything like that. Somebody told me, it was my niece, told me that, it's just simply adjusting to the sunlight. So it's really technically not darkening. I'm like, oh, yeah, then I'm just, it's just one of those things that nobody ever addresses or anything. So anyway, that's my first world problem of the day. And Amy, no, it does not get too hot. Occasionally it will, but I keep it under a towel, or I have my ways. One time it did get too hot, and all I have to do is stick it in the freezer for a little bit. It comes right back. So it's all good. Anyway, Good afternoon, everybody. So we are getting to a really difficult point now. Somebody's going to get killed. Portland, Chicago, whatever. These Antifa people, the head of Antifa just fled to Europe. He's the financer. He's a professor at Rutgers, and he's all involved in this. He's gotten death threats, and that doesn't surprise me. And he's been doxxed and everything else because really, I didn't realize until today, really, I had no idea that there are, and I'm trying to put this in a way that's not going to be too provocative, but you and me are normal, average, everyday people. Like we don't necessarily go to protests, or we and we are concerned about Antifa doing violent things, shooting up things, assassinating our leaders, and that kind of thing. But behind the scenes, there are some people who are doing some pretty hardcore prepping. And also some pretty hardcore monitoring of these individuals. Colonel Joe and I talked about it a little bit last week. But it's not that it's comforting to me that somebody's making death threats against somebody. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm realizing now is that there are some groups out there who are taking Antifa very, very seriously, meaning they are plotting in the event something goes down, because it's going to somewhere, some way. And the problem that we're having is, for instance, I'm afraid some of these soldiers or whatever. I mean, I don't want another Kent State. You know what I mean? There are people who are trying to push it towards that area. And some of those people, unfortunately, are actually members of city police forces. So I've got here some dispatch audio that came across, and it's a police scanner, and federal agents were being cornered. Did you hear about what happened over the weekend with federal agents who were being blocked in by about 30 cars? And this was outside of actually the city of Chicago. They were being blocked in. They couldn't move. And so it was really a really terrifying situation for the federal agents. So what happened is the Chicago police, who otherwise could have helped, were ordered to stand down.
Okay. Any kind of particular hairstyle, just younger male Hispanic on foot wearing all black?
No hairstyle.
Okay, 10-4. And one is for the hit and run. This guy fled from the scene at 37th Place in Kedzie. It all started at I-55 in Kedzie. Then they fled southbound at Kedzie.
So this is really, they're at this point looking for some people who were some of the ringleaders or whatever. And the Chicago police were in this mode, supposed to be, because this is how it's supposed to work. We're supposed to be, as it relates to law enforcement agencies cooperating with each other, they were supposed to be assisting the federal agents.
Where that offending vehicle crashed, they ran the federal agent off the road. They fled on foot westbound 37th Place from Kedzie. It was a male Hispanic younger wearing all black clothing. 99.
Yeah, send the cars in that direction. Have them stay put 2 or 3 blocks away, all right? Have them hold tight until I give you further direction, please.
That is in order to stand down. Have them sit tight there, a few blocks away, until further notice. That's in order to stand down, and that is a police officer or somebody with the police department who is being told to order the stand down.
Okay, so for MPD units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie per 999, if you guys can just, for the units responding to 39th.
So you can tell the dispatcher is a little bit surprised. And she's saying, well, okay. I mean, and then she passes it on.
Place in Kedzie, if you guys can start heading there as quick as you can, and then just hold tight for instructions with 999.
999.
999.
So the chief of patrol, clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
Radio check. And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999. Chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
Yeah, I mean that's bad. That's the chief of patrol, and that is a hugely dangerous situation. You could tell this dispatcher is like, this guy's telling. So to everybody, stand down. Don't follow up on this, and forget it. So that's dangerous, and there needs to be an investigation into this. I believe that there has to be something done about this, and we've got to find out who gave that order. I have no doubt that it probably came from much higher than the chief of patrol, obviously, and even much higher from the chief of police. And that then traces it to the mayor as well as to the governor, who purposely endangered the lives of federal agents by not helping them and not running down people. And I mean running down, but you know what I mean. Not apprehending people who already committed an act of violence against the federal agents. That's super scary right there. And something needs to be done about it, because otherwise what's going to happen is individuals are going to start taking matters into their own hands.
Something that can make you do wrong, make you do right.
Because if I'm a federal agent and I'm on my own, basically, my response to violence and attacks on me would be adjusted. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of adjustments,
Wait a minute, something's going wrong.
damn, Al Green's good, isn't he?
Someone's on the phone.
Hi, Al.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Reverend Al Green, people.
Talking about.
Speaking of adjustments, though, Don Lemon interviews this guy. I got to give him credit for putting it on the air or in this podcast. He interviews some New Yorker on the streets about a black New Yorker about illegal aliens. And man, does he get an answer he wasn't expecting. Also, Build-A-Bear is in just a little bit of a jam. And this is over a response to a person who wanted to name their bear Charlie Kirk. Yeah. This is Common Sense Radio. Happy Monday.
News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
This December 13th, join Wreaths Across America at Belle Reve Gardens Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit newstalkstl.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Oh, her eyes make the stars look like they're not shining. Her hair.
Happy Monday to all of you and yours.
She's so beautiful.
It's amazing because this was always my daughter Natalie's, the theme song in between the two of us. And she, of course, is turning 18 in November and taking off for college already next year. Graduating. I remember like it was yesterday when we'd go to the rec center there in Richmond Heights, and they were little girls, both Natalie and Lily. And she was probably only about 6 or 7 or something. And I'm glad I videotaped it, us dancing to this song. So, I got a whole catalog of these little monkeys. So glad about that. Never missed a moment, or at least I feel like I didn't. So, you see what happened with Build-A-Bear, and this has happened before with so many other of these organizations, and it really is a shame because what's happening is, and you all saw when they were making signs right after Charlie Kirk's assassination. I believe, I don't want to mistake this, I thought this was Office Depot. So correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to smear Office Depot, but I think it was Office Depot where these individuals were trying to make some signs for a Charlie Kirk demonstration. And and by the way, just as an update on my conversation about the Chicago stand down order, Stell sent me a notice that just came over today. Stell Ponticus did, that the Chicago mayor, Brandon, signed an executive order actually this morning declaring ice-free zones. So he says that ICE is not permitted to use city property for their engagements and their preparation. So, this is bad. And ultimately there's got to be some kind of adjudication of this at the Supreme Court level. I thought that was already done. But we have to be respectful, obviously, of the 10th Amendment, states' rights, and that kind of thing. But in the event of an active criminal enterprise, which is what illegal aliens are, and the trafficking of them is, I believe that there can be changes and precedents and that kind of thing. And I think this is going to have to be, this is going to have to go before a Supreme Court judge at some point to say this once and for all, because ICE is a federal law enforcement agency. Federal law enforcement agencies do have the right to operate in states and municipal locales. That's why you have ATF or you have the FBI. That would be basically like saying that, let's say you're the mayor of the city of St. Louis, and you say the FBI cannot walk on the streets or arrest anybody within the city limits. It's the same thing. ICE is no different. These are law enforcement agents, like there would be any other law enforcement agents. And that this would be like saying that, for instance, the IRS could not make you sit down for an audit within the city limits of St. Louis or whatever it happens to be. So this is no different. ICE is not a unique, obviously it has its own quarry, but it's not different than any other federal agency. So this has to be adjudicated at some point. People are acting as if ICE is some extrajudicial law enforcement operation, and it absolutely is not. People are acting like ICE was just invented like 3 weeks ago. And that's just not the case. So, and I honestly think there are a lot of people out there who honestly believe that ICE is just simply a deputized force that is squirted out of the Trump administration. I honestly believe people are that stupid. And the news media isn't helping in laying out what ICE is, the immigration enforcement, or any of that. And instead, they act like ICE just came out of nowhere, and that's not helping them. And I'm talking about that's not helping ICE and the ICE agents by treating them as if they are, well, Antifa. They're a legitimate law enforcement agency, and if you guys pay attention, I think you probably picked up on it, that when you notice reports about ICE, there's this almost this unspoken type of insinuation that ICE is an extrajudicial law enforcement operation that is not tied to anything constitutional or steeped in the law, and that absolutely is not true. It is a crime to enter the United States of America illegally. Whether you like it or not, whether you still want it to be 1921 when people just took a boat over here and checked in, those people don't even check in. So it is what it is. It's illegal to enter the United States of America illegally. That's what it is. And so ICE is just enforcing this. So keep in mind, it just so happens that the only people pissed off about this are Democrats and the media. They're the only ones who are angry about these roundups. Regular, average, everyday, normal people are not. And believe it or not, I'm actually going to rely on Don Lemon to reveal that to you. Now, I have to admit, I have to give Don Lemon credit for putting this interview up on his X channel, because it basically tells a story of a regular Black American citizen who actually has no problem with what's going on. Now, obviously, it's annoying because Don Lemon is trying to argue with him, but there's no arguing with this guy.
How do you feel about the ICE raids?
The who?
ICE raids,
Like
immigration.
I feel good about them.
Yeah, you want them to crack down?
More, yes.
You do?
Yes, been wanting it for years, all my life.
And what about them?
Hey, it's listen to this guy. And you know what? It doesn't surprise me. I've been waiting for this all my life. Because really what happens is these guys, black individuals in the inner cities, have watched themselves be put into the status of second-class citizens again. And if you could just digest this for a second, that you look at Martin Luther King, you look at the civil rights movement, you look at black people finally getting the right to vote in 1964. That wasn't that long ago. Can you believe that? I mean, when you think about it, it's like, dang, man. I mean, I was alive. Like, I was a baby when black people got the right to vote. So I was actually alive for a year when black people didn't have the right to vote. And look how young and chipper I look. Look how sprightly I look. If you can believe that, when I was a year old, when I was born, black people couldn't vote. It's astounding. And so you look at all that, all the struggles, all those things, and then you have certain people talking about, still talking about racism, while at the same time simultaneously abusing blacks again. Like there are black people in the inner cities that are invaded by illegal aliens that have been trafficked here purposely are actually at the back of the bus again. And that anchors them. When they see illegal aliens getting resources, even the Democrats even stuff them into the rec centers that the Democrats always build for black people to keep busy, right? Maybe the black kids will play basketball instead of committing crimes. That's what you get in the white liberal wet dream. And they've had enough of it.
Roughing people up.
Nah. That shit crazy. Don't put your hands on nobody. That's crazy. Don't hurt nobody. Do it the legal way.
But that's what they're doing, though.
That shit ugly. Then no, I don't feel great about that. I mean, don't hurt nobody. At the same time, get them out of here. Get them all out of here.
Right on.
Thank you. Trump 4 more years for that.
Did you
just for that? Just
did
for
you
that.
vote for him?
No, hell no. I can't vote. I lost my voting rights when I was 22 years old. I apologize.
You went away?
Yeah, for assault and battery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you said 4 more years.
I actually don't. Is that true though? Really quickly. I love what he's saying, but he's out of prison. I should know this, and I don't know it. And if it's true, I don't like it. So you mean to tell me ex-convicts can't vote? Ashton, is that true? I don't know. Can you look that? I mean, I didn't know, because I assume they could. I mean, if you've served time and you are done and you have served your time, you should be able to have the right to vote. I don't know. If that's not the case, then I am.
Okay, so Google says in many states, rights are automatically restored after a certain period.
Okay.
So there's a timeline and it varies.
Well, this is New York City. I'm assuming he just doesn't know that he can probably vote. Thank you, Ashlyn. I'm assuming he probably assumes that. But somebody needs to tell him before 2028.
Yeah, for assault and battery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you said 4 more years for Trump.
Just because I want him to concentrate on nothing but immigration, getting them out of here. Just for that.
You don't think they contribute to the economy at all?
Of course they do. Of course they have. At the same time, think about the people who wasn't able to contribute because the immigrants was there. You know what I'm saying? The people who live here and who was born here, was raised here, who has the same skill set that they have, but wasn't able to do their job because they were there illegally to do it. Yeah. Now, the people who's here legally, like me, I guess you, him, can't do that job because them people who are illegal are doing it, which is not cool for us.
But you know,
listen to Don Lemon. He makes the same argument that every other privileged, uppity, wealthy liberal does, and that is that an admission that the way they see illegals as a bunch of cotton pickers, right? They're on the liberal plantation cleaning toilets and picking cotton. I'm just using that as a figural term, or whatever.
You know they're having trouble filling jobs. They can't find people to fill jobs. They're getting rid of so many people.
Okay, what kind of jobs are they?
All over in the service industry and
yeah, all the restaurants Don Lemon eats at are having trouble getting people to wash Don Lemon's dishes.
Farming,
because it's like everybody got reset.
No, farming, you know what that is, right? That's a bunch of people who are hiring illegals because they don't want to have to pay Americans. That's what's going on. So these farmers and all these other people hiring illegals need to suck it up instead of backdoor supporting human trafficking so they could actually have a little more money in their pockets.
They're going to reset themselves. That's all they got to do, reset themselves.
The farmers are complaining about it, that they want Trump to ease up a little bit because they thought they were just going to do the violent people. They need undocumented immigrants.
Yeah, they need cheap labor, and that's not an adequate reason
to get food to your table.
It's not true, bro.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, buddy. That's not true, bro. That's what he says. Because absolutely, they could get food to our table. They know it without using illegal aliens, just like the trucking industry could manage without a bunch of illegals with fake CDLs. And I don't know whether you saw this or not, how many of the CDL licenses, for instance, all across the country have no name on them. No name. They still have a CDL license, but it says no name given. Unbelievable. But that's because the trucking industry wants the cheap labor too. And so this is, and if we can cut these people off, then we wouldn't have half of the problem we have with illegals. Anyway, he could picture.
No, that is true. You don't want to get facts.
There ain't no American born and raised here that won't do the job. That they crazy as hell. I know lots of them in my projects. Trust and believe me.
Yeah, I know lots of them in my projects who would gladly take a job at a restaurant. Maybe not for pennies on the dollar like a trafficked illegal alien would. So this idea somehow that they just can't hire people. No, the fact of the matter is for a lot of these guys, they just can't hire people who will work for nothing. That's their problem. There are people out there who are able to get jobs and who will do the jobs that currently illegal aliens are doing. It's just that these companies don't want to pay them. I mean, listen, you can tell. Look what has happened in the aftermath of COVID. How many businesses just kind of stopped doing things after COVID and used COVID as an excuse to cut corners. I mean, let's face it. Even the hotel people now. They're like, well, during COVID, they didn't clean the rooms, right? So once COVID was over, like, well, wow, that worked out well for us. We didn't have to keep paying people to clean rooms. We could cut the housekeeping staff in half, So don't even bother asking. Anyway, I'm surprised Don Lemon put him up there on his X account, but he did. And I think Don thought he would be a national hero for making the typical Dem liberal left-wing hack argument. So maybe they were all, but I think most people who see that actually trust the black dude he's talking to more than they trust Don Lemon. All right, the Build-A-Bear story, man. It's going up all over in many places in the service industry where a bunch of these punk left-wing kooks are deciding to take matters into their own hands. It's not working out very well for them, by the way, but just for the sake of argument here. Hey, this is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
It's not a thing that I would change, 'cause you're amazing, just the way you are.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, Schneider's True Value Hardware Store. Man, 100 years in Old Town St. Peter's. Can you believe that? How sweet is that? 100 years. And let me tell you something. It's a family-owned operation still. And Jerry Schneider's the guy. And he's got his partner, Charlie. And then they've got a whole great team of people who you walk in there and, sometimes you go places and especially places like a hardware store or some bigger box store, and people seem to scatter. Like the worst thing that can happen to them is for you to ask them a question about something, At Schneider's, it's a totally different story. They actually will walk right up to you and say, "What can I do for you?" And all you have to do is ask them, and then within seconds flat, you're just following them to the place where you need to be. That's the kind of service you're going to get at Schneider's True Value Hardware. You're also just going to get that old school feel, even though they've got a bunch of new school stuff like the Steel lawn care and yard products. These are really cool. These are those battery operated thingamajiggers, and they are fantastic. Steel is the premier battery operated lawn care and yard care tool maker in the country now. They have surpassed everybody. And so Schneider's True Value Hardware will not only maintain them for you, but also find parts in case something screws up or what have you, and all kinds of things. And of course, sales as well. Speaking of that, the price there is actually lower than it would be at big box stores. For some reason, there's this myth running around that the smaller so-called mom and pop operations are more expensive than the big box stores. That is absolutely not true. And you will see that in living color at Schneider's True Value Hardware right there in Old Town St. Peter's. TrueValue.com/Schneiders. TrueValue.com/Schneiders.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Brand new week. That means a lot of new things to cover right here on Larry Connors USA.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Every time I see Curtis Sliwa on TV, there's some chick standing right next to him. And I like her. I'm interested to see who she is because she's always like within like an inch of him. I like him. You know, I hope that if it's not Sliwa, I actually hope it's Mamdani. because this piece of trash, Governor Goomba Cuomo, I promise you won't be any better. You guys realize what happened during COVID and how Fox News and all these other clowns all benighted this Goomba? First, you'd have the Trump briefings, and then you'd have Cuomo briefings right afterwards. And Fox News would take them in their entirety live. I remember the time they did that, I was always wondering, why are they doing this? And it was clearly, this was Fox News at the time, by the way, who isn't trustworthy anyway. But what they were trying to do is create a contrast between like a real leader and a not real leader. And the real leader to them was Goomba. And so I'll never forgive Fox News for that, because I know what they were doing. Every friggin' morning or afternoon, 1 o'clock, there's Goomba live while he was killing old people. So this guy, so Cuomo is trash. And so I actually am rooting for Mamdani if we can't have Sliwa. He would be great. I still have a beret he gave me back in the day. I used to have him on the air with me all the time, and he sent me a red beret. I think I have it someplace. And wear it on the air. Be just like Curtis Sliwa. But yeah, he's good. And so I don't want you, because what's going to happen is Cuomo, if he becomes mayor, he's going to be facing off against Donald Trump and any other Republican in perpetuity. It's going to be his push to eventually run for president. And I don't want that Goomba president either. So you already have seen that he's publicly come out and said that he would not accept, he doesn't want Donald Trump's endorsement. So it's already happening. It's already happening. So you know what? If I'm President Trump, either endorse Sliwa or endorse Mamdani. Who cares, people, right? I know people are all bent out of shape about Mamdani, but I don't live there. I know that we need our cities to thrive and all that kind of stuff, but you know what? Let it play out. Let's see what happens. But I do not, if I were in New York and a voter in New York, I would either vote for Sliwa or Mamdani. I would never vote for Cuomo. And I hope people don't vote for him. So I hope that happens. I wasn't intending necessarily on talking about that, but that's the way it is. All right. So this Build-A-Bear story, and these companies, I'm actually happy to see how they are. I think there was a Starbucks at one point where they wrote on a cup and made fun of this person who was clearly like a conservative, and those people were let go. And so Build-A-Bear now, this is crazy. In Tukwila, Washington, there was a 16-year-old girl who came into Build-A-Bear and you can name your bear. Build-A-Bear, by the way, it was formulated right here in St. Louis. And the woman who founded Build-A-Bear is a good person. And Build-A-Bear was a great brand. Is a great brand. It was a great model. Anyway, you can name your bear after it's made. And so she wanted to name her bear Charlie Kirk. Evie McCormick, she visited this store right there at South Center Mall. And for years, she's been inspired by Charlie Kirk. She told this King 5 TV, she said, I was just mesmerized and captivated that he could speak with such elegance. He was a role model for Evie. But when she reached the checkout, this female employee, and by the way, have you seen like these Antifa videos and things like this? What is it with these chicks? Like, oh my Lord. I mean, the guys are bad, but But man, the chicks are mean. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. You've seen some of those videos from Portland and stuff, and it's the women who are the most venomous and everything else. Man, crazy. And same thing at these employee level, smaller places. They seem to be busting female employees more than they do males. So when McCormick reached the checkout, the female employee took a look at the certificate that Edie wrote out and crumpled it up and said, "We're not doing this." Tore up the document, the little birth certificate, the bare birth certificate, threw it away, and didn't even provide a blank sheet of paper for Evie and her friends to write the name themselves. And that's what ultimately she said. And she said, I'm never going back there. And days later, a Build-A-Bear representative wisely called to apologize, as stating that, quote, their goal is to try to prevent this sort of situation from happening to anyone else. And according to Build-A-Bear, they are handling the matter internally and has committed to retraining staff to avoid future bias. So we don't know whether or not that hateful little hussy is still employed at Build-A-Bear, but it seems to be kind of a trend, because let me tell you something. The left is petty, if nothing else. And even at smaller levels, they will, heaven forbid you're at a restaurant and they get some clue that you're a conservative or a Trump supporter or whatever. They'll spit in your food. I guarantee you. So sometimes it's better not to be too out there. But some of these people, I mean, they're just bad news, and you don't know how subtly, in other ways, you have been marked, and you have been profiled, and you have been treated differently than others. I don't want to run around the world whining about everything, but it is a thing. All right, Tim Jones is going to be on with me on the other side of this. We're going to catch up with all things St. Louis and all things Missouri. And, listen, I love to pray. I pray a lot. I don't ever pray for things. I pray for people and for discernment, and I pray for outcomes. And usually, amazingly enough, my prayers are answered. Because, some people pray for to find $1,000. It's like, I don't do that. So a lot of my prayers are easily filled. I mean, I'm an easy prayer date for God, but I did have one prayer that went unanswered. And I've been trying up until now to find out whether it was going to be answered. And I prayed to God. I said, please do not make me attack the Pope again. And unfortunately, that prayer has not been granted. Not my fault. It's the Pope's fault. Talks too much. So, not my problem. God doesn't like it either, I think. I don't know. I'm sure I'll find out someday. This is Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch, my friends. Come on. Bottoms up. Happy Monday.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
For 3 generations, one family has ruled the road in quality asphalt paving. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. Family owned and operated. We're your leading authority for driveways, lanes, and parking areas. No project is too small or too large. We cater to both residential and commercial needs with unbeatable quality at just $38 per square yard plus labor. Call 636-295-9949. 636-295-9949. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. You save when we pave.
For 20 years, Harpo's Chesterfield has been the heart of West County's fun. With our award-winning patio, voted best in West County, and excellent sports bar atmosphere, our mouth-watering menu has made us famous throughout St. Louis. Plus, we've got great drink specials and the friendliest, most energetic staff around. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's delivers fun, food, and drinks like no one else. Harpo's Chesterfield. Call 636-537-1970 or visit harposstl.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. House Speaker Mike Johnson says Senate Democrats are the only people now who can end a shutdown, the one they caused.
It's shameless. It is sad. Real people are hurting, and it needs to end. They'll have another opportunity this evening, and I sure pray, and I hope you all will, that a handful of additional common sense people on the Democrat side will change their votes, reopen the government.
President Trump says federal workers are being fired as he threatened. He told reporters last night it's taking place and it's all because of the Democrats. Military Affairs Analyst Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis hopes at least one point will quickly be agreed upon in the latest talks underway between Israel and Hamas.
I would hope that there would be a movement toward the release of hostages, and that's something that everyone is concerned about. You know, I think that it's going to be a harder nut to crack with regard to what the future of Hamas is, whether or not it's going to allowed to exist and, move outside of Gaza.
President Trump says the deal could usher in a wider peace in the Middle East if things go well. Mixed bag on Wall Street. The Dow right now down 33 points. The NASDAQ up 176. France's new prime minister is out, as Charles de la Desma reports.
France's new prime minister, Sébastien Lecornu, has resigned just a day after naming his government and less than a month in office. France's president, Emmanuel Macron, has accepted his resignation. Macron's opponents immediately tried to capitalize on the shocking resignation, with the far-right national rally urging Macron to either call for snap elections or resign. On the far left, France Unbowed also wants Macron's departure. The resignation rattled investors too, sending the CAC 40 index of leading French companies plunging. The index was already down by nearly 2% on its Friday close. I'm Charles de la Desma.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind, to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-226-5454. That's 800-226-5454. 800-226-5454.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, it's another warm day out there. Nothing new there, right? High temperatures in the mid-80s, maybe a spot shower or two. It's about a 20% rain chance. Lows down into the 60s tonight. A cooler day tomorrow under mostly cloudy skies. Could see a spot shower in the morning, but not a lot of rain anticipated. Temperatures stay mild the rest of the work week, but then warm up in time for the weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michaels Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michaels has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michaels Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Hey, your mattress called. It's tired of being tired. This Labor Day, starting September 5th, upgrade your sleep at Snooze Mattress Company in Chesterfield Valley, where your next great bed is waiting. Save up to $725 on top brands like Tempur-Pedic, Serta, Beautyrest, Stearns & Foster, and King Coil. Plus, try Dream Mapping, our technology that scans your body's pressure points and matches you to the perfect mattress. No guesswork, just real comfort, 0% easy financing, and local no-pressure service. Get in here, because if you don't snooze, you lose.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs, attorney at law, has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs, attorney at law. Call 636-949-0010, extension 3 today, or visit colecombs-law.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jimmy Allman here with you. Ashlyn over there. And one of my favorite late afternoon pastimes, of course, is listening to the Tim Jones and Christopher Arp show here on News Talk STL. Tim Jones, you guys did a great job out there at Stolock, man. That place is beautiful. But love listening to the show out there.
Yeah, Jamie, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having me on today. We had a great time out there with Mark Sutherland and Rick Pogue and the gang at Stone Ledge Distillery, drinking some Stolock whiskey and some Inversion vodka. And I would encourage everyone, take a little trip to Defiance. It's God's country indeed.
You gotta love the Pokester because, man, he is always up to something. You know, I love it. He's always got something going on. He does. It's like so great. I love the guy. He's a real gem. All right, so earlier, and I want to get to all things Missouri here real quickly, but I was talking earlier because I know that you guys have been talking about this too. I got to tell you that I believe that, especially as it relates to Illinois, and I believe that Governor Pritzker and Mayor Brandon actually are trying to create a civil war in Illinois. And like this morning, the mayor issues an executive order barring ICE from any city property whatsoever. And that is creating a showdown and also obviously purposely putting a target on the back of ICE agents. I played some tape earlier of police officers being ordered to stand down after an attack on an ICE officer. So that, I believe, is where the Democrats are plotting a ground zero. What do you think?
Yeah, Jamie, I've been listening to you all afternoon here, and I'm right there with you. I think I'm on my second or third martini. That's where we are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jamie, this almost does drive you to drink, right? In all seriousness, because when you step back and think about what the Democrats are advocating for here, they're the fascists. They're the leftists. They're the Marxists, which, by the way, is all poisonous fruit from the same rotten tree.
Yeah.
There's very little difference. The media always gets this wrong, right, Jamie? Because they don't understand history. They don't understand political philosophies. They just make crap up every day and then all spew it out in their little narrative notes that they have. Fascism, socialism, communism are not opposites on a political spectrum. I think you discussed this. I think you gave us a little soliloquy on this recently. They're actually very close. They're cousins of each other. But because it's convenient to call people on the right Nazis and fascists, that's just what they call us, even though it couldn't be further from the truth. Jamie, what the left wants in this country is lawlessness. That's what this is all about. They are upset. So they are literally fomenting this civil war, as you correctly point out. Because why? Well, because they want our borders to be completely and utterly open to continue the Biden-Kamala Harris illegal alien invasion.
Yeah.
They don't want law and order. So Donald Trump is apparently a fascist because he's reinstituting law and order while at the same time doing his best to put down this leftist revolution. This, as they would say, Jamie, in the spirit of Che Guevara, this leftist revolution all across the country. Because, right, Jamie, what they want the United States of America to become yet another failed tin pot South American style dictatorship.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is that they're doing this, and I presented a little bit of evidence of how, for instance, real New Yorkers feel about it. And obviously, curiously, it came from Don Lemon of all people, but thank you, Don. But nonetheless, they are doing this, especially in Chicago and Illinois, without the real consent of the voters and the people who feel completely differently about what ICE is doing. In fact, there's somebody just today, they arrested a child molester, illegal alien in Chicago. And so with the exception of Antifa, which is, again, a racketeering operation, organized crime is what Antifa is. And they're partnering with the Democrats because the Democrats have all of their soldiers out there. But the people are being overlooked because the people of Chicago want this. I mean, in Chicago for a while there, even the thuggiest of thugs were afraid of the illegal Venezuelans. You know what I mean? They were like, damn, those people are dangerous, So this is really, really dastardly.
It really is. Jamie, with the change of seasons here, it's time for choosing, right? I think there's a famous song about that, isn't there? Was it the Yardbirds or something like that?
Yep.
It's a time for choosing, Jamie. And look, you and I and others, we used to kind of, back in the day, I don't know, 10 years or so ago, we'd kind of tiptoe around this issue. We'd say, oh, all Democrats aren't that bad, or there's some good. Look, the National Democratic Party is gone. It's been replaced. It's been hijacked by left-wing radical progressives that literally want to destroy this nation. I'm sorry that this is shocking news for all of the good and normal. Look, as far as rank and file, I'm sure there's plenty of old school rank and file Democrats all across the United States of America. I'm sure that you all still exist. Many of you probably are listening to this radio station and this show right now, but you have to admit to yourself once and for all that the leadership of your party has been hijacked by AOC and the squad. They want an open border society. We're all supposed to be part of some globalist new world order. Just look at the UN. We don't have to make this stuff up. We just have to point to things that are actually occurring in reality. The UN is constantly on the wrong side of everything. They constantly stand up for Iran, the world's largest state sponsor of terror. They constantly bash Israel. much less the United States of America, while we're footing the bill. We're footing the bill for people to advocate for destruction of Western civilization, otherwise known as law and order. So Donald Trump, the law and order president, again, is trying to do nothing more than enforce the laws that are already on our books. If Congress wants to change the laws regarding immigration, then I would ask Democrats to actually have that debate and let's vote it up or down instead of all this constant gamesmanship with continuing resolution shutdowns because they want illegal aliens to get health care and they want to expand and extend the failed Obamacare healthcare system, which is proven, like we said it would be, to be an absolute debacle. So, Jamie, this is really this is not between Republicans and Democrats anymore. This is between Americans and those who would want to destroy our nation as we've known it for the last 250 years.
Yeah, and the Democrats are going to have to decide ultimately not only who they are, but also from a survival level, because they will go the way of the Whigs if they continue on with these left-wing kooks who are going to destroy their party. And similarly, President Trump had to grab the steering wheel from Republicans who were destroying our party. So somebody's going to have to take the wheel on this one. And I noticed that, for instance, let's look at Wesley Bell, who is a member of Congress and is a very liberal, progressive voter. And then Cori Bush, who is a beast, who is a promoter of violence, who is an anti-Semite, and who is absolutely just the crassest form of politician you could possibly find. She's deciding she's going to run against Wesley Bell. And again, their voting records are really not that far apart, but one of them kind of keeps their Democrat policies and everything else in line because they're representing a district there. And another one is a gun-slinging thugstress who, and the Democrat Party is going to have to figure out, hey, we want the Wesley Bell type and not the Cori Bush type.
Yeah, the Wesley Bell type, the John Fetterman type, right? We could go on with this list. There are a few bright spots in the Democratic Party. Again, people that probably 99 times out of 100 we're not going to agree with, but how about being a left-wing, not even a left-wing, how about being a liberal progressive like Wesley Bell? Who is that? He's not a conservative. He's never going to be a Republican. That's fine.
Yeah.
How about being a liberal progressive, Jamie, that doesn't hate the United States of America and doesn't want to destroy it? You can be that kind of liberal progressive and not want to wreck the country like Cori Bush and AOC and the rest of the squad members do. I mean, you've got what's her face up there in Minnesota or Michigan running Dearbornistan, right? Where you have the Great American Melting Pot is something that these people despise. They don't want people to come here and assimilate and be part of the American dream and experience freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They want to come here and create their little terror cells and, import the mooge worldwide and then seek to bring down the great Satan, which is what they call us, so we can all be part of some theocratic, crazy-ass new world order, I guess, in their minds.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Wesley Bell has again, I couldn't disagree with him more on policy stuff, but his vibe has been the same since I first interviewed him on television back in 2015 when he was a Ferguson City Council member. And you talk about one of the more balanced voices. I mean, even Lacey Clay was provoking and putting out these commercials and things like that and inciting violence. And Lacey Clay, it was really kind of surprising because he's normally a little bit more well put together than that. But Wesley Bell, on the other hand, city councilman, everything else, was absolutely on the straight and narrow about that. So, I don't think they're going to choose Cori Bush again. There's no way, but she must have some other motivation here.
Yeah, she's not even a professional politician. She's a professional organizer of chaos, catastrophe, and confusion. Jamie, I guess we could argue that the city of St. Louis has hit rock bottom. I'm not sure they've pulled themselves back the other way yet, but they've rejected St. Louis City. Think about that. City of St. Louis voters, not the evil, white man in the Republican Party like us, I guess. St. Louis City voters rejected that form of radicalism. Within the space of 18 months, they sent Kim Gardner packing, and then they did the same to Cori Bush and Tashara Jones. And who did they elect? Well, they didn't elect Republicans. They elected other Democrats. They elected other Democrats that apparently don't hate America and want to destroy the United States. They elected Kerry Spencer. You've got Gabe Gore in there, who's apparently just going about. Jamie, we never hear about Gabe Gore, and that's exactly what you're supposed to be as a prosecutor, speaking as a former prosecutor. He's obviously getting up every morning, going into the office and prosecuting crime. Kara Spencer is trying to do everything she can to basically save St. Louis from itself, reaching out to the business community, canceling stupid Pollyannish projects like the Metrolink Green Line, focusing instead on retaining the few remaining big businesses we have in the city, and maybe trying to encourage some others to come back. And as you said, Wesley Bell, just keeping his head down, probably voting the Liberal Party line, but not hating America along the way, 6 ways from Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Kara Spencer just reminds me a lot of the Francis Slay era,
Amen.
And I think St. Louis needs that, considering how it still is a great city, but just needs some kind of direction and help. And one more quick thing about Jeff City, brother. One more quick thing, but one more quick thing. This one about Jeff City. So, what's in the offing now? I mean, a lot of the heavy lifting regarding redistricting, everything else is taking place. What's going to be in the sights of our lawmakers in this fall session?
Well, Jamie, first of all, a public service announcement for all your awesome listeners and everybody here at News Talk STL Nation. Do not sign any clipboard regarding anything over the next many months. Jamie, the left is out there with seriously 50 plus ballot initiatives trying to get them in circulation, basically trying to destroy the state of Missouri and eradicate everything that Republicans have done and are trying to do in Jefferson City. So all these paid left-wing Soros, Hans-Jörg Wyss, he's the Swiss billionaire version of Soros, petition circulators, Jamie, they're out there with clipboards everywhere. They're at the local grocery stores, they're at the gas stations, they're at the libraries, they're at the big boxes. There's no, I will just tell you this right now. There is no common sense, center-right, conservative ballot initiative being circulated right now. Not a single one. Every single one they want you to sign is bad. And Jamie, they're going to try to repeal the just passed 7-1 congressional map. That's one of the things they're collecting signatures for. There's millions of dollars pouring in from the DNC and from the ACLU to reverse the map. They're going to try to get it on a ballot referendum this fall. Hopefully they fail, but Jamie, they've already raised $2 million. The left-wing Death Star has unlimited money. So don't sign anything anywhere. Secondly, Jamie, now that congressional redistricting IP reform is off the docket for now, yes, it opens up the gates to do all kinds of other great and wonderful things like reforming our broken, defunct, bankrupt property tax system, eliminating personal property tax, continuing to ratchet down the state's income tax, something I was behind getting started back when I was speaker, universal school choice, and more. There's a lot more things coming, Jamie. Bill filing begins, by the way, in less than 2 months for the next legislative session.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
December 1st.
December 1st. Why am I thinking it's the fall, about the fall session? Yeah. I mean, I absolutely love it. And I think there's certainly the personal property tax and the income tax hopefully will go. And in reference to the phonies and their clipboards, this is a world famous one. And someday somebody ought to either write a short little pamphlet on it or whatever. And that was what was known as the Clean Missouri initiative. And I mean, and you do not be surprised if somebody comes up to you and says, would you like to sign the luscious, precious little soft kitty
You
initiative?
got it. But I always say pink fluffy unicorns. One of my daughter's favorite things. Yeah, Jamie, they're all ingeniously annotated as something they do not do. Or worse, the opposite of what they tell you they're going to do. So they all have very cozy, cuddly names. They all sound wonderful in the little one sentence description, but they don't tell you, they don't show you the dark, seedy underbelly of this multi-million-dollar industry of basically hijacking Missouri's constitution.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. Well, thanks for the warning, and brother, I really appreciate your discussion here. And I was just thinking, because tomorrow, and you guys are going to you guys need to. Well, I'm not telling Chris Arps and Tim Jones what to do, but I know you're going to do it. So tomorrow marks the anniversary of the terrible terrorist attacks in Israel. And with Tim Jones and Christopher Arps just coming back from there, Chris being there a couple of times and Tim there with him, I know, and I might even want to have one of you on tomorrow because I want to get kind of, because you guys were there. You guys, I remember, I think I was talking to you, or I saw the videotape maybe of you, but it was really super emotional because you were right at the area there.
The music festival.
Yeah. And so I know you guys will be probably talking a lot about that tomorrow. So I encourage you folks to tune in because these guys really were able to see something that unfortunately only the people in Israel mostly see, but it's going to be a day, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, it really will. Jamie, we're very lucky. We're on a text string now with the group that we went with, including all the Newsmax contributors. And Newsmax does a great job being a friend to Israel. And Jamie, what people don't understand, especially with these college kids in our country don't understand, all these phrases and catchwords and little songs and they sing and dance to about freeing Palestine and river to the sea. They do not understand that if that world were brought here, the Hamas world were brought here, they wouldn't get to do any of this stuff that they get to do here in the United States of America. And Israel is the sole beacon of freedom and liberty in a sea of totalitarian tyranny. We're slowly, I think, changing hearts and minds in the greater Middle East. But until the world's largest state sponsor of terror, Iran, is still there, everybody's got to be constantly looking over their shoulder.
Yeah, no doubt, buddy. Well, I appreciate the insight, man. You're the best. That's Tim Jones of the Tim Jones and Christopher Arp Show. Tune in starting at 4:00 on News Talk STL. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And Tim's he must be a stud because he's got the 3 martinis and he's got 2.5 more hours before his show. So you know what happens. You just got to keep drinking. That's what you got to do. Otherwise, you're going to fall asleep. All right, people. This is Common Sense Radio. Did you guys know that your chats with ChatGPT may not be private after all? We have an example coming to us through a Missouri kid, actually. I have that for you coming up. This is Common Sense Radio.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Just talking to somebody yesterday when I was showing a home, and I am getting them set up with my buddy Jordan Rosenblum of Stewart's American Mortgage. Just Google the bagel loan, and you are in. So as you all know, I do real estate, and I'm mostly a buyer's agent. And I always ask people, do you have pre-approval? And if they say no, I hook them right up with Jordan. And what Jordan does, there's no charge for the credit pull. I mean, you'd be amazed. A lot of these lenders out there, they'll bill you, they'll charge you for the credit pull. I mean, pretty unbelievable. No such thing. It's all zeros. That's why we have the bagel loan. That's why they picked it, because Stewie is from Brooklyn and, the whole bagel thing. And so that bagel is zero. So when it comes to you buying a home, zero closing costs, lowest rates you're going to find anywhere in the land. When it comes to refis, zero closing costs, lowest rates you're going to find. When it comes to debt consolidations, same thing. 0, 0, 0, 0.0, as they say. And there are a lot of lenders out there, and don't listen to them, because I remember one time talking about this. I posted something, and some woman's like, my husband's been in the business for 45 years. It never happens. I go, well, your husband's been ripping people off. So, so Stewart's American Mortgage, the bagel loan, they're just doing things that are not the dirty little secret that all the other lenders do. They do this because they're a small family-run operation, but they deal with a lot of volume. And so what happens is you got a lot of these lenders, and they all say, "You're going to charge for credit pull?" "Yeah, I'm going to charge for the credit pull." And if everybody does it, then it becomes something that's normal. But let me tell you something. Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan, they're not going to be doing that. And they don't really care what little Miss Facebook thinks. That's just the bottom line. So Google the Bagel Loan. Google the Bagel Loan.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris. How are you, Vic? I don't want to put anybody else down, but when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Window World for all of your replacement window needs. And I got to tell you, I love these guys, and they actually love themselves. And what I mean is they love their product. Window World, simply the best for less, 314-993-1800, and the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. So here is the situation. So they love this window, and they're so confident in it. It's comes with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And so you buy a Window World window and something happens to it, it's never anything that you've got to deal with. Window World will. These are double paned windows. They are thermally superior to all the rest, meaning they're saving you on heating and cooling bills. And they're strong and they look beautiful, not only from your vantage point on the inside, but from someone else's vantage point on the outside. The Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Qualified Remodeler Magazine. I know you all subscribe to that. Everybody does. And they say, hey, these guys are the top selling window in the world. And that's why it's so great to call them Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800, the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. They have financing plans for you as well. Let's say you're going to do a whole house project. You just want to go ahead and finance it. They can do that for you as well. And an in-home demonstration where you could ask the person who is demonstrating the window to please stand on it to prove that it won't break, and it won't. I've seen that happen. 314-993-1800. Window World, simply the best for less.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere.
It's all over us, like it always was, like it always was.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, and happy to be so. Ashton over there. Just a really quick follow-up on what's happening in Chicago and the obsession of Mayor Brandon and his Tweedledee and Tweedledummer, Mayor Brandon and Governor Pritzker. And it's interesting how obsessed they are. And this is a typical thing, though, among people on the left, is they're usually busying themselves with other things as a distraction for their own failures, which is why you have Democrat politicians who will have cocktail margaritas with and obsess over child molesting, wife beating dirtbags. because they don't want you to focus on their inactivity, their inability to create jobs, their inability to create a peace in the world, their inability to help people make more money, get better opportunities, and make America great again. So they have to then focus, because, I mean, why else would a grown-ass politician just with a straight face get arrested or fight or stand on the side of an ICE facility to defend scumbags and violent, rapey, child molesty criminals? I mean, that's desperation right there, you know. And so you've got the situation where you've got Brandon issuing this executive order today, barring ICE from just even operating or even walking in the city of Chicago. I don't know how this is really going to play out. And then Pritzker as well. So over the weekend, nearly 30 people were shot in Chicago. There might have been more. You go to heyjackass.com and they lay it out there in terms of how many people were shot. They even tell you like what part of the body they were shot in. 30 people were shot, while Brandon and Pritzker are obsessing over ICE. And for the people of Chicago, what do you really think that what kind of message that sends to them and the people of Chicago as they're all being shot up, and you've got them obsessing over protecting bad people? Pretty crazy. I have a lot to get to here because I'm going to go after the Pope again, so I got to make room for that. And I saw an interesting interview with Maria Bartiromo and Devin Nunes, and this was over the weekend. And at the tail end, something really interesting happened, came out of it, and I'll have that for you on the other side of this break as well. And I'll slip in an attack on the Pope in between all that time, but because you all are like, I want to hear him attack the Pope again. Yeah, you know, you'd be surprised how much that when I went last week, when I went after the Pope for his disgusting politicizing, you'd be surprised how many people in the office here at News Talk were literally like commenting on it, because a couple of them are Catholic and they seemed visibly shaken. Like maybe I shouldn't have said that about the Pope. And they're kind of like, wow, Allman. I'm like, yeah, I know. Don't worry. I won't stand next to you. It's okay. It's fine. Well, let me go ahead and say it. So the Pope comes out. Well, this was last week. He was talking about, you know, if you're anti-abortion but okay with deportations, then you're not really pro-life. And I'm like, dude, stick it. Seriously, Pope, stick it. And again, he goes back again over the weekend, making these criticisms of President Trump and of the ICE operations and everything else. And the problem is, this is so typical of some people in the church hierarchy, and that is that they are dyed-in-the-wool hypocrites. Because how else could you possibly speak from a walled city known as the Vatican? Vatican City has a wall around it. And the Pope's house has a wall around it. Nobody gets in. Nobody can just walk in. And he has some nerve acting all pious and godly in attacking other people who just want to secure their borders and keep from being preyed upon by illegal aliens. Man, that takes some nerve. But again, the problem is that you have people who are raised their whole life never having to struggle with anything. They're just running around in their slippers all the time, and they're not really having to deal with things that other people have to deal with. And so they don't live in the real world. And they are cloistered. And you know what's even more interesting is that you have a situation where you seriously have a guy with a straight face who will tell you from a walled city how horrible people are when they want to control their border. Now that's pretty amazing. I mean, that takes some balls right there, and not in a positive way at all. So there you go, Pope. Stick that in your urn and smoke it, whatever that is. All right, here I'm finally going to get to the Chat GPT thing because on the other side of this, I want to because you know what we finally discovered or think we know what the Mar-a-Lago Raiders were looking for. Pretty crazy. All right, so this 18-year-old student at Missouri State University sounds like a high school with ashtrays to me, but I don't want to. No offense. Missouri State University arrested because after he detailed his involvement in a vandalism spree to OpenAI's Chat GPT chatbot. And so this guy, he's a sophomore. It's in Springfield, Missouri State University. I'm just kidding about the high school with ashtrays. I just wanted to say it, so it's okay. It's not a big deal. I was just being flip. So what he did was he went around and smashed the windows of 17 vehicles, caused extensive property damage. The vandalism included breaking windshields, side windows, rear windows, tire valve caps stolen or gas caps removed, that kind of thing. And so they heard about this, and this was like at 3:00 in the morning. So there was footage of him, captured him doing all this. So, but how the cops finally got him was a interaction between this kid and Chat GPT. So at about 3:30 in the morning, right after he did all his vandalism, he started a conversation with Chat GPT. And he basically said, yeah, I smashed car windows in a parking lot, provided details about exactly what he did, the number of vehicles and everything else. And he asked AI, the Chat GPT bot, for advice on evading detection. And he was like wondering, hey, can cameras identify me based on my clothing or how I walk? And would the police really take this seriously and everything else? You know, he's like kind of like, how screwed am I? Will I go to jail? So ChatGPT is programmed basically to kind of keep people from doing illegal activities or discouraging them, even though I did give you examples about 3 weeks ago where the longer you talk to ChatGPT, the guardrails eventually will disappear. That was that AI, the AI people admitted that, which is how suddenly, you know, after about a month, a chatbot could detail how to tie a slip knot so a teenager could hang himself. That wasn't supposed to happen, said the AI people, but it did because it turns out the longer conversations you have, the more those guardrails go away. But not in this case because it was a short conversation. And ChatGPT advised against criminal behavior, but didn't alert authorities. So police still obtained the transcripts through a subpoena served on OpenAI, and then they arrested this kid. So OpenAI has terms of service, and they basically say that any conversation you may have with OpenAI can be reviewed for safety purposes and can be disclosed in response to legal requests, such as subpoenas or court orders or whatever. And even though ChatGPT offers a temporary chat mode, where the conversations aren't saved, the company can still retain the logs for a limited time. So that still happens. I can't figure out, though, still how the authorities were turned on to the ChatGPT, or what happened there, or whether something was flagged or not. Or maybe they actually have tightened their systems in the wake of other pretty bad failures that have come down the pike that I have detailed before. So we'll see. I mean, I think many of you already realize that nothing you really do is unattainable on the internet. It's just the way it is. All right, so what were the people looking for when they raided Mar-a-Lago? Some interesting details coming your way on the other side of this. It's Common Sense Radio.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. We keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
I want to let you guys know about the Gemini Wealth Group and how important it is for you to make sure that you are ready to rock and roll in your retirement. There are a lot of people who go ahead and retire and they kind of think they can just wing it. But the reality is you can't. It's better just to have somebody along for the ride who's going to help you make sure that you are truly going to be living in your golden ages in full. So here's what's happening. When you contact the GeminiWealthGroup.com, thegeminiwealthgroup.com, or Jeff Portman directly at 314-888-0123, 314-888-0123, the fact of the matter is they're going to get you onto a program. And I encourage you to get a hold of them before you retire, but let's just pretend that you are newly retired and the things I'm about to tell you don't sound familiar. That means you need some help. Are you diversified? And by meaning diversified, I don't mean just scattering your stocks all over the joint. I mean diversification with targeted views of good, solid investments that will have good returns. So that it's quality diversification. Are you thinking long-term and not short-term? Have you considered how much it's going to cost for you just basically to live, like rent or mortgage or what have you, your tax liabilities, all those kinds of things? And once they have that plan ready for you and you're ready to go, then you will be able to live in comfort. And people are living sometimes 20, 30, maybe even 40 years after retirement. So make sure you take advantage of this. The GeminiWealthGroup.com, the GeminiWealthGroup.com, or Jeff Portman directly at 314-888-0123.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Mayela Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. This is Common Sense Radio. It's a 3 martini lunch, and so you know how that is. Figured you should have some music that fits that Harlem thing. So you can hang out. I'm going to leave it too, though. So you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
You don't know where to go to. Why don't you go where fashion sits? Putting on different types of wear a day coat pants.
Anyway, people, so I was really trying to figure out. This came at the tail end of this really amazing interview. Maria Bartiromo, who I love.
Dressed up like $1 million troop.
Did you know that the Ramones wrote a song about Maria Bartiromo? You know what it was called? Maria Bartiromo. I'll play it for you someday. So she's interviewing Devin Nunes, and this comes at the tail end. So they're talking here about the Mar-a-Lago raid and all the people. So there are 2 critical dates. The one was that meeting with Obama and all these people when they were trying to craft this plan to create a big-ass lie about Donald Trump and Russia collusion. And then Dennis Nunes points out with Maria about a very critical second important date.
So what's the other important date? The other important date is in August, ironically, almost 6 years to the day, August of 2022, where they raid Mar-a-Lago. Many of the same people were involved in that. Not Comey, because he had been fired, but others who had been in the first Obama term all the way through were then put into the Biden term. I mean, people like Lisa Monaco, who was the deputy attorney general. I find it hard to believe that she was not behind and had knowledge about what happened at the raid of Mar-a-Lago, because I believe that Garland, although maybe he knew about it after the fact, but if you remember, he didn't seem to know much, and they didn't find what they were looking for because it took him 3 days after this magnificent raid with all the cameras there that clearly were tipped off about this Mar-a-Lago raid happening on President Trump. Miraculously, they didn't find anything, and it took Garland 3 days before he came out and made a statement.
And before we get to the rest of the story, so I don't know about you, but I think you probably remember when the raid happened. And suddenly, about a week afterwards, it started to sink in that this wasn't really as much of a raid as it was a recovery operation. It was, in 2022, it was the Biden administrations and the Biden DOJ and the deep state wanting to go and recover documents that they felt would be incriminating and prove that they made the whole Russia collusion thing up. So this wasn't a raid that was designed because they had a preconceived crime in mind. It was a raid in which they utilized federal authorities to find documents that they could hopefully destroy once they got them, and never tell anybody they had them.
Wow. And Lisa Monaco got a big job now. She's the president of global affairs at Microsoft, which I reported first. Look, I've got the majority staff report right here on the intelligence community assessment of the Russia influence campaign targeting the 2016 election. You believe that was one of the things they were looking for when they raided Mar-a-Lago, but it wasn't there.
Yeah, that's right, because that was supposed to be declassified. We asked President Trump to declassify that in 2020. We were told that it was declassified. We thought that information was going to be at the archives, like all the information should. But then when we asked the archives about it and other people asked the archives for it, it wasn't there.
Yeah. So these people, leftover Obama bots and everybody else, they were desperately trying to find. It sounds like a movie, right? They were desperately trying to find this report, these declassified documents. Trumped it up like it was somehow Trump stealing from the archives, whatever, and they couldn't find it to destroy it in the archives or whatever. So they figured, oh no, we think Trump has this. And if Trump had it, then he would have everything he needs to blow the lid off of this crime. Pretty crazy.
So it's just, and that document's very damaging. It's a 40-page report that House Republicans worked on for a long time. Not only my committee and now now the current chairman Rick Crawford was able to get that information out. It's a very damning report that showed that Russia didn't think that Trump was going to win, which I think we all know. Once again, just common sense in 2016. Why would the Russians be helping someone that they didn't think was going to win?
Yeah,
Right. Point.
Pretty crazy. And so when you look at what's happening now, and you see all of these people in the news media and everything else, it's really pretty crazy because, again, they're saying this stuff with a straight face, even though they're saying that President Trump's administration, the DOJ, are doing exactly what they did for years. You're weaponizing the DOJ. It's like, you guys remember what you did? You're using the full force of the government to go after your enemies. Do they have any idea that that's exactly what they did? Of course they have an idea that that's what they did. The key is, and the luxury for them is, that they don't have anybody who's going to call them on it in the mainstream media. Somebody ought to go to jail for that, or be held accountable for that raid on Mar-a-Lago. And I have no doubt that eventually somebody will be held accountable for that. But that is an illegal raid when you were doing it. And obviously it was signed off on by a judge. So, as we've done with other raids, and said with that, we have to be consistent that, if it's signed on by a judge, they had to have something, but who knows what they put up there? Because we never saw the warrant. So we don't know what happened here. And we do know, though, that was one case where the full force of the Department of Justice and the deep state was utilized to prevent anything from being exposed about how much they lied in 2016. And I have no doubt, I still don't believe this guy who shot President Trump, I still don't believe he acted alone. To me, I think the scenario here, because I think President Trump getting elected, as you can see, they were very, very scared of him getting elected. And now you know why, right? Every day you know why. And so my feeling is that it wasn't as much a plot. All you got to do is egg some kid on, some sicko on, and encourage them to do something dastardly and wrong, and then just provide just enough openings for them to do it. Right? Hey, you know what? We could do this. We could do that. A lot of this is, hey, Trump's going to do this. You could kill him. Let him go up on the roof. Get a clear shot. Don't worry about it, and just let it happen, which I still think that happened. But I still fear for President Trump and pray for him as well. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, amazing rest of your Monday. Ashlyn, thank you so much. And coming up, Tony Colombo and Colombo and Company. Have a good one, everybody.
From home improvement to replacement, Do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call